One day, a woman stops asking, "Why did everyone leave me?" and begins asking a much more powerful question. Why did I leave myself every time someone else walked away? That question changes everything. Because the greatest support system you can build is not one that guarantees nobody will leave. It is one that makes sure you never lose yourself when they do. These 7 lessons can change the way you carry yourself through pain, loneliness, and every difficult goodbye. Lesson 1. Become your own support when nobody stays. There will be moments in your life when the people you trusted, loved, and depended on will no longer stand beside you. Some will leave without explanation, some will change, and some may disappoint you exactly when you need them most. In those moments, you must not allow their absence to become the reason you lose yourself. Become the woman who can hold herself together when nobody else knows she is falling apart. This does not mean pretending that you are never hurt or that you never need help. It means learning how to face your pain without allowing it to control your entire life. Take care of your heart, protect your peace, continue your responsibilities, and remind yourself that your future is still valuable even when someone chooses not to be part of it. People can support you, but they should never become the only reason you feel strong. When nobody stays, stay committed to yourself, keep moving forward, and trust that Allah can give you strength from places you never expected. The day you stop depending on someone else to keep you standing is the day you begin discovering how strong you were becoming all along. Lesson 2. Stop depending on people to hold you together. There is nothing wrong with loving people, trusting them, or accepting their support, but you become emotionally vulnerable when one person becomes the only reason you feel okay. If their message decides your mood, their attention decides your worth, and their presence decides whether you can function, you have given another human being too much responsibility over your heart. People are human. They become busy, they change, they misunderstand you, and sometimes they leave when you never expected them to. You must learn how to remain standing even when the person you leaned on is no longer there. Cry when you need to cry, speak to someone trustworthy when you need help, but never convince yourself that you cannot survive without a particular person. Start strengthening the parts of your life that belong to you. Your relationship with Allah, your routines, your goals, your health, your knowledge, and your ability to calm yourself during difficult moments. Support from others should add strength to your life, not become the only thing holding it together. The stronger you become inside, the less someone else's absence can completely destroy you. Lesson 3. Learn to stand strong even when you feel completely alone. Feeling alone can make even a strong woman question everything. You may look around and wonder why nobody seems to understand what you are carrying, why the people you expected to support you are silent, or why you have to face such a difficult season without the person you thought would always be there. But being alone does not mean you are powerless. Some of the strongest parts of you are built during the seasons when nobody is available to carry you. This is where you learn how to calm yourself instead of immediately running towards someone for reassurance, how to make difficult decisions without needing everyone's approval, and how to keep moving even when nobody is clapping for you. Do not allow loneliness to convince you to return to people who hurt you simply because their presence feels better than silence. Learn to sit with yourself without feeling that something is missing. Pray, speak honestly to Allah, continue building your life, and remind yourself that this painful season is not your permanent reality. Strength is not having someone beside you every moment. Real strength is knowing that even when you feel completely alone, you can still rise, take the next step, and refuse to let loneliness decide what kind of woman you become. Lesson 4. Never abandon yourself in the middle of your pain. Pain has a way of making you forget who you are. When your heart is deeply hurt, when someone disappoints you, when a relationship ends, or when life suddenly becomes heavier than you expected, you may stop caring about yourself without even realizing it. You stop eating properly, you stop sleeping well, you lose interest in the things that once gave your life meaning, and you begin speaking to yourself as if your future no longer matters. This is exactly the moment when you need yourself the most. If someone has already walked away from you, do not become the second person who walks away from yourself. You are allowed to feel hurt, you are allowed to cry, you are allowed to have days when your heart feels heavy, and you do not understand why things happen the way they did. But pain should never become permission to destroy your own life. One painful chapter does not mean your whole story is finished. One person's decision does not determine your value. One loss does not erase every good thing Allah can still bring into your future. The danger begins when you turn temporary pain into permanent damage by giving up on yourself completely. Sometimes a woman becomes so focused on the person who hurt her that she forgets to notice what she is doing to herself. She keeps checking their messages, their social media, their behavior, and their life, while her own life slowly stops moving. She wants to know whether they miss her, whether they regret leaving, whether they are happier without her, and whether they will ever come back. But while she is watching them, she is losing time that could have been used to rebuild herself. Do not give someone so much space in your mind that there is no room left for your own healing. Supporting yourself during pain means doing small things, even when you do not feel like doing them. Get out of bed. Take care of your body. Eat properly. Pray on time. Go outside. Complete the responsibilities you still have. Speak to someone trustworthy when your heart becomes too heavy. Give yourself structure when your emotions feel chaotic. These things may look simple, but they are powerful because every small action tells your heart, I am still here for you. You also have to stop punishing yourself for what happened. Many women replay everything and ask, what was wrong with me? Why was I not enough? What could I have done differently? Learn from your mistakes if there were mistakes, but do not turn reflection into self-hatred. Not everything that ended because you failed. Sometimes people leave because they change. Sometimes something ends because it was unhealthy. Sometimes Allah allows a door to close because continuing through it would have caused you even deeper pain. Do not confuse heartbreak with worthlessness. Someone failing to appreciate you does not mean you have nothing valuable inside you. Someone choosing another direction does not erase your character, your kindness, your intelligence, your faith, or your ability to build a meaningful future. Your value existed before that person entered your life, and it still exists after they leave. There will also be moments when loneliness tempts you to return to what already damaged you. Be careful in those moments. Pain can make familiar suffering feel safer than unfamiliar healing. You may think, at least I had someone, even if that someone constantly made you feel unwanted, anxious, or emotionally exhausted. Do not return to a place that broke you simply because rebuilding feels difficult. Missing someone is not always a sign that you should go back. Sometimes it is simply a sign that your heart is still healing. Become the woman who refuses to leave herself behind. When you are hurting, speak gently to yourself instead of attacking yourself. When you are tired, rest instead of calling yourself weak. When you make a mistake, correct yourself instead of destroying your confidence. When someone rejects you, remind yourself that rejection is an experience, not an identity. Your pain may be real, but it does not get to decide your entire future. And most importantly, do not disconnect from Allah because you are hurting. Sometimes pain makes a person feel spiritually tired, but this is when you need that connection most. Tell Allah what you cannot explain to anyone else. Make dua even when the words are difficult. Sit quietly after salah and allow your heart to speak. You do not have to understand everything immediately. You only need enough faith to keep taking one step at a time. One day, you may look back at this season and realize that the greatest thing you did was not getting someone back. It was getting yourself back. You protected your heart when it was fragile. You continued when you wanted to stop. You learned how to stay beside yourself when someone else chose to leave. That is what real self-support looks like. Never abandon yourself in the middle of your pain. People may disappoint you, circumstances may change, and certain chapters may end without your permission, but as long as Allah gives you another day, there is still something worth rebuilding. Stay with yourself, protect yourself, care for yourself, keep moving forward, because the woman you become after this pain may one day thank you for refusing to give up on her. Lesson 5. Build a life that still stands when people walk away. One of the most painful mistakes a woman can make is building her entire emotional world around one person. She gives them all her attention, all her time, all her hope, and slowly, without realizing it, she makes them the center of everything. Her happiness depends on their mood, her confidence depends on their attention, her peace depends on whether they are close or distant. Then one day that person changes, leaves, becomes cold, or simply stops being who they once were, and suddenly her whole life feels like it has collapsed. This is why you must build a life that still stands even when people walk away. Love people, but do not make them your entire foundation. Care deeply, but do not forget that you had a life before them, and you must still have a life if they leave. A healthy relationship should become part of your life, not become your whole identity. You should still have your own relationship with Allah, your own goals, your own routines, your own interests, your own responsibilities, and your own sense of purpose. When these things are strong, losing someone can still hurt you deeply, but it does not have the power to erase everything else that gives your life meaning. Many women only realize this after a painful ending. They look around and suddenly notice that they stopped doing things they loved, stopped speaking to people who cared about them, stopped working toward their goals, and stopped investing in themselves because all their energy went into keeping one person happy. Then when that person leaves, the silence feels unbearable because there is nothing else left standing. Do not wait until that happens to rebuild yourself. Start now. Build parts of your life that belong to you and cannot disappear simply because someone else changes their mind. Your faith must be one of those foundations. People can support your heart, but no human being should become more important to your emotional stability than your relationship with Allah. When everything around you changes, Allah remains. When you cannot explain your pain to anyone, you can still speak to Him. When someone breaks a promise, Allah's wisdom does not disappear. When someone walks away, you are not walking through life alone. The stronger this understanding becomes inside you, the less power another person's absence has to make you feel completely abandoned. Build your daily life too. Have routines that protect you. Wake up with a purpose. Take care of your health. Learn something. Work towards something. Spend time with people who bring goodness into your life. Create responsibilities that remind you that your existence is bigger than one relationship. These things may sound ordinary, but ordinary routines can save you when your emotions become overwhelming. When your heart is confused, structure keeps you moving. When you do not feel motivated, discipline carries you until your feelings become lighter. Build financial and practical confidence as much as your circumstances allow. Learn how to handle your responsibilities. Understand your own decisions. Know how to take care of important matters instead of always waiting for someone else to do everything for you. This is not about becoming cold or refusing help. It is about developing enough strength that help becomes a blessing rather than something you cannot survive without. There is a big difference between appreciating support and being completely unable to function without it. Build friendships and healthy family connections instead of placing every emotional need on one person. No single human being can perfectly satisfy every need inside your heart. One person cannot always be your best friend, advisor, healer, motivator, listener, protector, and source of happiness every hour of every day. That expectation eventually becomes too heavy for both people. Keep healthy connections with trustworthy people. Maintain community. Allow goodness to come into your life from more than one direction. Most importantly, build your relationship with yourself. Learn what calms you. Learn what drains you. Understand what you will tolerate and what you will no longer accept. Know what kind of life you want to create. Spend enough time with yourself that being alone does not immediately make you panic. Some people remain in unhealthy situations simply because they are terrified of their own company. They would rather be badly accompanied than alone. But when you learn to feel safe with yourself, loneliness loses much of its power over your decisions. This is also why you should never throw away your future simply to hold on to someone in your present. Do not destroy opportunities, dreams, good habits, or important relationships because you are afraid one person may leave. The right people should not require you to become smaller so they can feel secure. They should not require you to abandon every part of yourself just to prove that you care. Love should add goodness to your life, not slowly remove everything else that made you who you were. And if someone has already walked away, do not spend the rest of your life standing at the door they closed. Look around. There are still parts of your life waiting for your attention. There are dreams you may have neglected. There are qualities inside you that need to grow. There are prayers waiting to become stronger. There may be people who genuinely care about you, whom you stopped noticing because your mind was consumed by the one who left. Pain makes you stare at what is missing, but healing begins when you also start noticing what remains. Sometimes the greatest rebuilding starts after a loss. You begin exercising again, you return to your goals, you strengthen your salah, you reconnect with family, you learn something new, you become more disciplined, you begin protecting your peace. Then months later, you look at yourself and realize that the person who left did not take your future with them. Their departure may have hurt you, but it also forced you to build parts of yourself you had ignored for years. Do not misunderstand strength. Building a life that still stands does not mean you will never cry when someone leaves. It does not mean you will suddenly stop missing people. It does not mean you become emotionally distant and refuse to love deeply again. Strength means you can feel loss without losing your direction. You can miss someone without destroying your progress. You can grieve a chapter without believing your entire story is over. There is power in being able to say, I loved you, but I still have a life to live. There is power in realizing that somebody can be important without becoming everything. There is power in knowing that even if circumstances change, you still have values, responsibilities, faith, dreams, and a future that deserve your attention. Ask yourself a serious question. If one person disappeared from your life tomorrow, what would still remain? Would you still know who you are? Would you still have goals? Would you still have relationships that matter? Would you still know how to care for yourself? Would you still have a connection with Allah strong enough to carry you through the pain? If the answer frightens you, do not ignore it. Start building now. Strengthen one area at a time. You do not have to transform your entire life overnight. Rebuild your prayer routine. Take better care of your body. Return to something meaningful you stopped doing. Make one decision for your future. Protect one boundary. Spend time with people who genuinely support you. Each small piece becomes another pillar holding your life upright. Never give another human being the responsibility of holding your entire world together. That is too much power to place in someone's hands and too much pressure to place on your own heart. People can walk beside you, love you, encourage you, and become beautiful parts of your journey. But your life must have deeper foundations than their presence. Build so strongly that when someone changes, you do not completely lose your direction. Build so deeply that rejection cannot erase your worth. Build so wisely that someone's absence may leave an empty space, but it cannot bring your entire life to the ground. And if you are rebuilding after someone has already left, do not be ashamed that it takes time. Every strong structure is built piece by piece. Keep going. Every prayer, every healthy decision, every boundary, every new habit, and every step toward your future is another brick. One day, you will realize that you no longer need someone to stay in order for your life to continue. You will appreciate good people when they are present, but you will no longer collapse when someone chooses another path. You will understand that your life belongs to Allah before it belongs to anyone else. And as long as He has given you breath, there is still purpose ahead of you. Build a life that still stands when people walk away. Let people be part of your happiness, but never the entire source of it. Let them support you, but never become the only thing keeping you standing. Because when your faith, identity, purpose, and inner strength are firmly built, someone leaving may hurt your heart, but it will never again be allowed to destroy your whole life. Lesson 6. Become the woman you can always depend on. There is a special kind of strength that begins when you stop asking, who will be there for me? And start asking, can I become someone I can rely on? This does not mean you should reject love, friendship, family, or support. It means you stop building your entire sense of safety around people who can change, become distant, become unavailable, or leave. You begin building trust with yourself. You begin becoming the woman who knows that even when life becomes difficult, she will not completely fall apart because she has learned how to stand beside herself. Think about how often you have depended on someone else's words to make you feel secure. Maybe you needed them to tell you that everything would be okay. Maybe you needed their attention to feel important. Maybe you needed their presence before you could relax. When they became distant, your peace disappeared with them. This is exhausting because you are constantly waiting for another person to give you something you must slowly learn to develop inside yourself. Become the woman who can calm herself when emotions become heavy. When something goes wrong, do not immediately assume the worst. Do not let one unanswered message create an entire painful story in your mind. Do not allow someone's bad mood to convince you that you have done something wrong. Learn to pause, think clearly, pray, breathe, and give yourself enough time to understand what is actually happening. A dependable woman does not allow every emotion to become a decision. You also become dependent. Their consistent surrender to Allah, their sincere dua in the private moments that no one witnesses, becomes a shield around their lineage, a protection that those children may never see, a barakah that those grandchildren may never be able to trace back to its source. But it is there. Think about Ibrahim alayhi salam. He stood in a barren valley, no water, no vegetation, no civilization for miles in any direction, and he made dua for his descendants. He asked Allah to bless the generations that would come from him, to make them people of prayer, to provide for them, to turn hearts toward them. And that dua, made in a moment that looked impossible, produced fruit that billions of people have benefited from across 14 centuries. That is the reach of a sincere dua. That is the reach of a consistent surrender to Allah. You may never know in this life what your morning recitation protected your child from, what door it opened for your grandchild before they were old enough to knock on any door themselves, what provision it unlocked for a generation you will never meet in this world. But Allah knows. He is already writing it. Every morning you show up after Fajr. Every morning you genuinely mean Hasbi Allah. You are doing something that echoes forward through time in ways your human mind cannot fully calculate. You are not just providing for today. You are planting shade for people who will sit under it long after you are gone. And that is a legacy that no financial inheritance can ever replicate. Let me walk you through something. Not a complicated routine, not a long list of steps, just a single morning moment described as honestly and as warmly as I can, so that tomorrow when your alarm goes off and Fajr arrives, you know exactly what is waiting for you on the other side of getting up. You pray Fajr, the world is still dark, the house is quiet, the day has not yet made any demands on you, no notifications, no responsibilities, no weight of the hours ahead pressing down yet, just you and Allah in the stillness before everything begins. You finish your salah. You do not rush to stand up. You sit for a moment right there in the place where you just placed your forehead on the ground before the Lord of everything. And in that stillness, you think honestly about what you are carrying. The worry about provision, the uncertainty about the future, the questions that still do not have answers, the financial pressure that followed you to sleep last night and was waiting for you when you woke up. You name it, not to dwell on it, but to be honest with yourself and with Allah about what you are holding. And then slowly, with full awareness and full belief, you recite, Hasbi Allahu la ilaha illa huwa alayhi tawakkaltu wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Feel every word. Hasbi Allah. Allah is sufficient for me. Feel the weight shift slightly as you say it, because something in the heart responds to those words when they are meant. Something loosens, something that was gripped begins to open. La ilaha illa huwa. There is no provider but Him. Alayhi tawakkaltu. I am placing this right now in His hands. Wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. And the one receiving it controls everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises in the Quran, وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. And your Lord is going to give you, and you will be satisfied. Surah Ad-Duha, Ayah 5. He is going to give you, not might, not perhaps, is going to. The provision is already coming. It was already written. It is already on its way. This morning moment after Fajr is where you align your heart to receive it. Not by forcing it, not by calculating it, not by gripping it, by releasing it to the one who already holds it. And then you stand up, you go into your day, you work with everything you have, but you carry something completely different now. not the crushing weight of feeling like it all depends on you. The quiet settledness of someone who just handed the heaviest part of their burden to the strongest hands in existence. There is a difference between saying Hasbi Allah and truly meaning it, saying it is the beginning, and it is a beautiful beginning. Every sincere recitation carries weight in the unseen world that we cannot fully measure. Every genuine surrender after Fajr is witnessed by Allah and responded to in ways that unfold across time. But truly meaning it, that is the transformation. And the transformation does not happen all at once. It happens gradually, quietly. The way light changes in a room, when a window is slowly opened, you do not always notice it in the moment. But one day you look up, and everything feels different from how it felt before. The fear of poverty loses its grip, not because your financial situation is necessarily different, but because the fear itself has changed shape. It has gone from a crushing weight that controls your decisions and steals your sleep to something smaller, something that visits occasionally but no longer lives inside you permanently. Because you know, with a knowledge that has moved from your mind into your bones, that Al-Razzaq sees you. And Al-Razzaq never forgets. The anxiety about the future changes, because the future belongs to the one you are trusting. And the one you are trusting already knows what is in it. He already knows what your family needs next month and next year and 10 years from now. He already has it arranged. Your anxiety was never adding anything to the arrangement. It was only adding weight to your days. The generosity begins to flow more naturally, because the believer who truly means Hasbi Allah stops gripping their provision with both hands. They understand that giving does not diminish what Allah wrote for them. So they give more easily, more freely, more joyfully. And Allah responds to that generosity in a way He told us Himself. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam narrated that Allah said, "O son of Adam, spend and I will spend on you." Bukhari and Muslim. Spend and I will spend on you. Give and I will give to you. Release and I will provide. This is the economy